What's up, everybody? How's everyone doing out there today? Hope you're all having a great day. Welcome back to Wildcat MTG. Today is a video about what I am buying or what I have recently purchased. And I don't get to do these very often, probably once every maybe 3 months or so, but believe it or not, I actually do buy singles. And, when I do, I kind of save them up and talk about it. Format of this video is a little bit different than the versions I've done in the past. Traditionally, you'd see envelopes laying everywhere. And I decided this time, I didn't want to fiddle with the envelopes. I open them ahead of time anyway because the amount of time it takes me to make sure that the order is correct, that I got the card, that it's in the condition that I ordered it in, etc. I'm already opening the envelopes. I didn't want to have to fiddle with the envelopes. And then part number two is a lot of the stuff I've actually already moved into either a deck or part of my personal collection as well. So we're going to jump into things. We'll go over the individual cards. I bought them out, kind of what my mindset was, and talk about what the current market price is in case the price has moved up or down for that matter since I purchased the card. Some of these a little bit more recently than others. Before we dive into things, we are approaching 1,000 subscribers. I think as of the filming of this video, I'm less than 30 away from 1,000 subscribers. So do me a favor, if by the end of this, if you're not subscribed and you thought it was kind of cool and entertaining, hit that subscribe button for me. It would really help me out. I'd greatly appreciate it. With that being said, why don't we go ahead and dive on into things. So we're going to do the reveal one by one. Hence this part right here. So we're going to start out with a Winota, Joiner of Forces. And Winota, when she was running around Pioneer before she caught the ban hammer, this card got upwards of $23. I actually parted with, once it broke like the $20 mark, I think I had 4 copies and I parted with all of them because the percentage of play for her was insane. The deck she was in was very, very strong. I kind of had a feeling it was coming. But now that this card has dipped back into the $4 range, I was happy to pick up a copy for a commander deck that I've been working on. It's a ridiculous card. Whenever a non-human creature you control attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a human creature card from among them onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, and it gains indestructible into turn. Put the rest of the cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. So for a 4/4, and she doesn't even need to be attacking herself, just non-human creatures trigger, and you get some free attackers and some hopeful card advantage out of it as well. So pretty crazy card. Again, once up to $23, once it caught the ban in Pioneer, it has now come back down to earth at $4. I thought it was a really reasonable pickup at now the current price of $4. Use some store credit to pick one of these up, and she's going to slot into a deck that I have working for Commander. All right, number 2, Primal Vigor. So this is a really strong alternative. It's, as I say, Commander is about redundancy, right? And I get that, but it is a 5-drop green enchantment. Stop me if you've heard this verbiage before, but if one or more tokens would be put onto the battlefield, twice that many tokens are put onto the battlefield instead. And if one or more counters would be placed on a creature, place twice that many counters on that placed creature instead. It is essentially doubling season. And doubling season carries a price tag of upwards of $90 now, whereas Primal Vigor, you can find a copy for $27. The primary difference is that Primal Vigor is basically only Commander legal. So yeah, I think this version is off of the list. It came out originally in like a Commander 2013 product. I think there's also a secret layer version of it. But if you have to make some business decisions about the price of what you can afford to put in the deck, as a really reasonable, optimally, you'd love to have a copy of this and doubling season. But if you have to make that choice, for $27. So this is off of the list, and this one is actually slightly higher than the actual Commander, like $1. I paid $27 for it. It's about $28 off for the list version, $27 for the Commander version. But again, if you're playing a token or counter strategy as a really, really effective alternative, again, it's doubling up. It's redundant on the doubling season, but at roughly a third of the price. So Primal Vigor is a card that you'll see it sleeved already, is already slotted into a deck, and one I was really happy to pick up. I think it's a really fair price tag right now. All right, this is another card that I think is just a beast of a card. Growing Rites of itlimoc. It's a legendary enchantment. And when it enters the battlefield, you can look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it in your hand. And put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. And then at the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more creatures, you get to transform this into from an enchantment. And I'll flip this over here in a second. I'll show you what the backside of it is. This is a card that has not seen a reprint yet. So it is growing in price. I think I paid $23.50 for this card. Its market price is $23, but it is a really, really strong card. And when it flips, it flips into the Cradle of the Sun. And you can, after it transforms, you could tap it to add a green to your mana pool, or add a green to your mana pool for each creature you control. So it is essentially, once you can transform it, when you can transform it, it flips into a Gaia's Cradle. But actually, it's even slightly better, because if for some reason there's a board wipe or whatever, after it's already flipped, you can still tap it for at least one base green mana. Really, really good commander card. Really strong card. Hasn't seen a reprint yet. Kind of continues to tick upwards in price. I have a deck that it's going to slot into immediately. But I almost felt like I honestly waited too long on this card. There was a time where these were running a little bit cheaper, and now it just kind of slowly keeps ticking up. But at $23, I still think this is a pretty value pickup, and certainly, although it comes with a condition, certainly a heck of a lot cheaper than having to go out and fork out for a Gaia's Cradle. So, Growing Rites of the Itlimoc. I'm probably even saying that wrong, so if I butchered it, forgive me. All right. Next up, we have Huatli Radiant Champion. Another card that has not yet seen a reprint. I picked this card up for $6, which is pretty much the market price. I didn't get any sort of discount on it or anything. Hasn't really moved since I picked it up. But as far as like effective planeswalkers in maybe like a token strategy, with Phyrexia All Will Be One coming out, there's a lot of token-centric cards. So I decided to try and pick this up to see if maybe I like this in a token strategy for a commander deck. And so it comes in, it's 4 for 3 loyalty, but for uptaking it for 1, you can put a loyalty counter on it for each creature you control. And then you can pay -1 to get a +X on, give a target creature that +X, where X is the number of creatures you control. And then for the ultimate, 8 loyalty. For 8 loyalty, you can get an emblem, which never goes away, with whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. For the price tag and for what this card does, especially in a token strategy where you're really hoping to flood the board, if you lay her down when you've got a board full of 1/1 tokens on there and you want to uptick it, you're looking at a turn 2 ultimate, a next turn ultimate, or at least giving your opponent something that they then must answer because she might have 10, 11, 12 loyalty or something or more, right? So a card that I'm actually interested to see. I haven't put it into practice yet. I haven't had a chance to actually try it out to see how effective it will be in a token commander deck. But as I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, I could see this card doing some work, especially once you ultimating it, refilling your hand constantly by playing creatures. Pretty cool card. I think it's kind of neat and a fairly inexpensive way to fill a commander deck as well at $6 price tag. All right. Sometimes you buy cards because they make financial sense. Sometimes you buy it you're speculating on price. Sometimes you're buying it because I'm putting on a deck. And then I talk about a lot of the times about the collector portion of things. And sometimes you buy something just because you like it and you like the aesthetic of it. And that is what I've done with the Shark Typhoon, the extended art foil. There are certainly much cheaper versions of this card. There's no reason to pay $40+ for this card, which is what I did pay. I had some store credit stored away at LGS. And I decided to treat myself a little bit here with this card because honestly, there's no need for me to have this card. I'm not recommending you go out and buy a $40 card when there's a much cheaper alternative. But it is a card that I love. I think Shark Typhoon is a tremendous card. It just saw a little bit of a reprint in the Secret Lair 30th Anniversary Countdown Kit. There's a version of it in there, but there's also a really nice looking card. So I paid for the Shark Typhoon, the extended art foil, which is a beautiful card. You can see that it's already double sleeved. I already have it in a sealed inner sleeve. I already have it in my Slate Mac Dragon Shields, which is what I use for all of my sleeves because I'm super boring. But it makes it easier to shift them in and out of my PC and put them into a deck, because if all of my personal collection cards and decks are using the same sleeve, then for the most part, unless the sleeve needs to be refreshed, I can just pull in and out and have to worry about, it's one less time that I have to switch in and out of a sleeve, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But Shark Typhoon, extended art foil, I paid $43 for this card. I think it's like $41. I wasn't too concerned about that. It probably went down a couple bucks because of the recent reprint that I just mentioned. But I love this, and I was a fool for not getting this way early on. When Ikoria first came out, this particular card probably was like $12. It was really, really overlooked. And then it started seeing standard play. And it's a really strong commander card. And, again, sometimes you just do one for you. This is one I just always wanted to have in my own personal collection, just to have that kind of super cool version of it. And so happy to have it. But I'm not recommending anybody go out and spend $40 when there is a much cheaper alternative there. But extended art Shark Typhoon. All right, another one that is in the, we'll call it for me pile. This is something that I did. This is definitely an aesthetic choice, something that I really wanted. Nobody seems to like the borderless Liliana of the Veil. Planeswalker for the Dominaria United. People prefer the Steve Argon art, and listen, to each their own. I completely understand why people like that version of. I feel like this version gets super overlooked, and I actually personally think it's pretty cool. So not only did I go out and buy a borderless foil Liliana of the Veil in that, sort of more veteran Liliana, but I actually went out and bought two. So this one is foil. This one is a borderless foil version. Again, an aesthetic choice for me. Certainly not recommending going out and paying a premium on the borderless foil price tag, where if you just want the card for a deck, there's definitely cheaper alternatives. This cost me about $28. I think it's going for about $28, $29, pretty much market priced. So not something I'm saying is an investment, not saying I'm saying is going to go up in value long term. This is definitely a for me card for my personal collection, just something I wanted for myself. And I had some extra store credit, so decided to put it to work with, making some personal choices there. So borderless foil Liliana of the Veil from Dominaria United. And I also complemented that by picking up another one. This is a non-foil, but the non-foil, I already had 3 of the borderless non-foil, so this is just me being a completionist. So I picked up the non-foil. The non-foil borderless is, I think, about $16. I think I paid 16 or 17 for it. It's sitting right about 16 or 17. And again, actually, the funny part is I think this is just about the same price. So if you like you prefer the non-borderless version, I think it's roughly the same price. To me, I actually like this particular variant, and I think it kind of gets overlooked. So I had 3 of them already. I decided to make it a play set. So now I have a play set of borderless Liliana of the Veils from the Dominaria United. Again, like $16, which is really crazy to think about, because if you think about what this card, Liliana of the Veil specifically, would cost prior to the reprint, I mean, seeing, dwindling, waning modern play, but still a modern playable card. Certainly saw some fringe play. It was probably like a $30 or $40 card, depending on which version. There's more expensive versions, but now being able to pick these up for like $15, not bad. All right. Again, another aesthetic choice for me. It's obviously a very good card. I have a borderless Boseiju Who Endures. Again, this is about me being a completionist. I actually, I've opened up a fair amount of Kamigawa, I'll put it that way. And a lot of the Boseijus I had, I actually just parted with. But anytime I opened up one of the borderless ones, I kept it, and I was like, okay, well, these are the ones I'll use for my decks or for my personal collection. And it so happened that I was going through my binder, and I was like, oh, I have 3? It feels bad not having the 4th. So again, putting some store credit to work. This is a card, hey, listen, this sees a ton of play. This is, if it's legal in the format, you're probably playing with it, and you're playing green, I should say, and you're probably playing with it. It is a really, really good utility card. Legendary land. It doesn't come into play tapped. You can channel it from your hand, which makes it can't be counterspelled unless it has counter target activated ability or something along those lines. But the borderless version, currently running about $37. That's what I paid for this. I paid $37 for it. The borderless version is about $38. So again, no major uptick there. This is for me an aesthetic choice. Again, I happen to already have 3 of the borderless versions, and so I decided to take the one regular version that I had and kind of swap it out. I sold that one independently, and then basically paid a small premium to get the borderless instead of the regular version, but just to sort of upgrade my personal collection and give me a playset of these. Obviously, again, a very playable card, worth investing in. But if you are just looking at a baseline copy, I think the baseline copy is like $23 to $25. You don't need to pay $37. Again, this is very much an aesthetic choice for me. But Boseiju Who Endures, sweet card. Okay, so again, I talk about the player and the collector piece. The collector being more of the aesthetic. I know that people don't really care for the sketch versions of cards out of Modern Horizons 2, and I do. So the awesome part is, this happened to work out well for me, is Murktide Regents, still a really, really big modern playable card. The actual card itself now has dipped to like $10, $11 for the regular version. I think the regular version is right around $12. Maybe $10 to $11, I should say. But I picked the sketch versions because nobody likes these versions. Nobody seems to care about the sketch versions, but I do, and I'm okay with that. And so I actually picked up a couple of copies of these for $9.50 a piece. They're right about $10.50 market price. Again, I think the regular version, the non-sketch version, if you will, is about $11 to $12. But being able to pick up the sketch versions for under $10, I picked up a couple of them. And these are going to go in my personal collection. I think that Murktide is going to continue to be a very modern playable card for the foreseeable future. It was kind of time for me to start, just buckling up my collection and making sure that I had a playset of these. I don't quite have a playset of the sketch yet, so I'm trying to match them up. When I get there, you'll know. But picking these up on sort of what I'd consider to be on the cheap at $9.50 a piece when they used to be $25 cards, and they are a 4 of in that deck. So again, if you don't care about the aesthetic, or even if you do and you happen to like the sketch, just know that the sketch version is actually a couple bucks cheaper than the regular version. So a nice cheap alternative, and actually for me, the aesthetic that I prefer. I'm happy to pick these up for $9.50 a piece. All right, what do we have next? Oh yeah, doing the same thing here. So Archon of Cruelty. Really, really good reanimation target, sees play in modern decks and reanimator modern, usually Indomitable Creativity decks, something along those lines. And again, a case where, because people don't seem to care for this particular version or variant on the sketch, it's actually cheaper than the regular version. And for me, I'm looking to sketch out my personal collection with applicable mythics and cool rares from Modern Horizons 2 that can be obtained in the sketch. So I picked up the Archon of Cruelty for, I think it's $12 for the sketch version. For the non-sketch version, I think they're closer to $14. So again, if you are just looking to pick up the cheapest copy available to put in your deck, just know that the sketch version is actually a couple bucks cheaper than the regular version. And for me, as an aesthetic choice, it actually works out to be beneficial because not only is it cheaper, but it's the version I actually particularly like. I've been loading up my own personal collection, as I mentioned, with all the sketch versions of cards. So not quite to having my playset complete yet, but one card at a time. So again, picking this up for $12, a really, really ridiculous card. Obviously it's got a huge casting cost with eight mana value there, but 6/6 flyer, and when it enters the battlefield or attacks, so 2 triggers there. 2 different types of triggers. Target opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, discards a card, and loses 3 life. And you get to draw a card and lose 3 life. Pretty good value, right? So instantly it replaces itself just by on the ETB, and it hurts your opponent a little bit. So not bad. I mentioned that there are cheaper alternatives to Shark Typhoon, and I recently picked up a couple of copies of this for myself as well. When Shark Typhoon was running around standard, they were really, really good. They were seeing 4 of play in control decks. And I think the price tag on these was upwards of $15, $16. I don't know if it's due to the sort of recent semi-reprint from the 30th Countdown kit, or if it's just, not seeing as much play because it doesn't really see a lot of Pioneer play. But certainly a very good Commander playable card if you're running blue. These are now super affordable. These are $7 a piece. I think I picked up a couple copies. I actually had a couple already, so just kind of getting a play set. Just to make sure I have some for plenty, have plenty of copies for future decks as well. I think I paid $7.50 a piece. I think they're about $7 market price. So very, very affordable, really strong Commander card. And as I mentioned, if you're just looking to pick up the cheapest copy available, this is less than half the price it was at peak. And I think still just going to continue to be a really good card. If you want to play it as an enchantment, great. If you want to cycle it, you can create a blocker and draw a card off of it. Very strong card. Now only $7. Pretty affordable. All right. There's one more card after this, but I picked up a couple of borderless griefs as well. So this is like a weird accomplishment for me. I'm actually really happy about this. So I picked up a couple borderless griefs. They're about 20. I picked them up for about $20 a piece. They're currently market price about 21 a piece. If you wanted to pick up the regular non-borderless, just the regular normal, I think they're about $16, $17 for the regular grief. I picked up the borderless for a specific reason, and that is that with the pickup of these griefs, I have now been able to, this is my completionist self here. I got a playset of borderless griefs, which also helped me complete my playset of borderless elementals from Modern Horizons 2. So I've been working on this. When I went to M30, when I went to the event, I traded in a bunch of stuff, and I started picking up these using trade-in stuff. So I wasn't coming out of cash out of pocket per se, but I started working on. I just was like, hey, these are some cards that I would like to have for me for future use. So I've been slowly over the course of months working on trading for or using store credit when they come in to pick up borderless versions of all of the elementals from Modern Horizons 2. And one of the endurances was the last one I needed, along with the 2 borderless griefs. A buddy of mine had a borderless version of an endurance, and the store, the LGS I was using, did not. So I said, hey, if I picked up a regular version of it, would you be willing to trade me my regular version for your borderless plus a little bit extra? And he was more than happy to help me, and I appreciate him for that. So this, again, this is completely an aesthetic choice. This is complete overkill. This is not a long-term investment thing, but it's something I've been working on, something I thought was kind of fun, and I'm happy to keep these now in my personal collection for forever. These aren't going anywhere. These will be the copies that I use for various decks or commander or whatever, and so these are the copies I'll be sitting on. And now I know that when I get other versions in the future, I can just let them go. I already have the copies and the versions I want. So anyways, was kind of happy about that, wanted to share that. But borderless griefs, $20 a piece. I think they're market about 21, but if you wanted to pick up a cheaper copy, I think the regular copies can be had for about I would say between 15 and 17. All right, last one. Parallel Lives. Again, we've seen Phyrexia All Will Be One at this point. We know that there's going to be a lot of cards in that will support a token strategy. To be completely honest, I waited too long on this card. There was the point in time where these cards could be picked up for significantly cheaper. These cards are all the way up to like pushing $45 now. This one is probably light play, and I paid like $42 for it. That being said, again, so this is a 4-drop enchantment, so it's a little bit cheaper than your doubling season in terms of casting cost and primal vigor. It's only 4 instead of 5. If an effect would put 1 or more tokens onto the battlefield under your control, it puts twice that many tokens on the battlefield instead. So you don't get the counter effect, but you can get it out a little bit cheaper. This card has not seen a reprint, but it's kind of one of these cards to me where it's good enough that even when it does, I don't think it's going to get killed in value. Maybe it drops to 20 after it sees its first reprint. It drops to 25. But if this card doesn't see a reprint for a while, I could very easily see this card breaking the $50 mark in the relatively near future. So I picked this up for about $42. I think the market value, but it's, again, I would classify this one as maybe light play instead of near mint. Whereas I think the market value is probably about 45, 46. Again, to me, a card that I could see as Commander continues to develop, as more cards come out. It's a card that adds redundancy to those token strategies. I think it's going to break $50, and if it doesn't see a reprint for another year, then buckle up, because it's probably going to go up and do a little bit more than that. It could have been, I should have bought this months ago when they were like $30, $34, something like that. But here we are. Something, as you'll see, it's already slotted to go into a deck of mine. So there we go. Well, that is it for me today. These are some cards that I've been buying and some things that I've been working on, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And yeah, let me know, what have you guys been purchasing? What are you guys excited about for Phyrexia All Will Be One? Any cards in there that you have bought in anticipation of the new cards that are coming out that you're going to be putting into decks? Love to hear from you. Drop me a line, and yeah, you know what? Be well, everybody. Have a great day.